Hi everyone and welcome to another Project 5 Wears video. This video is going to be all about Juvia's Place and not a particular palette but pretty much all the Juvia's Place palettes that I have. As I announced in the beginning of the year, I had decided that the Project 5 Wears series will definitely stay, but I'm going to slightly modify the format in the sense that it's not going to be centered just around one palette, but I'm going to center it more around a certain idea or a certain theme. So for my first Project 5 Wears in that setting, I would like to do a week of Juvia's Place palettes in which I basically create a different look with the different Juvia's Place palettes for 5 days straight. Now it's going to look like 5 days straight to you, but they've actually been scattered around. In reality, it hasn't been a full week because I cannot really film every single day of the week, so I just do it whenever I have time. Since most of you guys probably don't keep track of my Juvia's Place palette collection or you're not familiar with my channel, but you would like to see which palettes are going to be featured in this video in order to know whether you are interested in watching or not, let me just show you which palettes are going to be featured. The palettes that you're going to see featured in this video are the Magic palette. You are also going to see the Deuce palette, the Afrique palette, the Nubian 2 palette, which is one of their older eyeshadow palettes, as well as the Saharan 2 and Tribe palettes. This is more than 5 palettes, I know, but I made it work, so if you would like to find out what looks I created with these palettes, then please keep on watching. I'm starting off this Project 5 Wears with the palette that started it all for me. This is the Juvia's Place Magic palette. It was the first palette that I ever bought from them, and it was honestly the product that made me fall in love with the brand and, you know, purchase so many more palettes. I have this palette since the summer of 2018 and mine is still in the bigger format. I do believe they now offer this palette either in the like the bigger size and the mini size, or they just offer it in the mini size. So if you're interested in it, just go ahead and grab the smaller size because the pans on these are ridiculously big. Nobody needs such a huge eyeshadow. Anyway, the reason that I started off my Juvia's Place adventure with this eyeshadow palette is because you can see how beautifully you have a representation of both warm and cool tones, and you have such a variety of different shades, and because I wanted to try as much as possible from them, I chose for this palette. For today's look, I wanted to focus a little bit on this purple shade here because it is one of my favorites in the palette and I hadn't used it in a while. It's a really pretty lavender purple with a blue duochrome, like an icy blue duochrome. I really do love this shade quite a bit. Now, I did not start off my look with this palette though. The reason being, and probably the hugest con with this eyeshadow palette, is that when you look at the cooler side of the eyeshadow palette, there isn't really any sort of like matte transition shade that you can use to start your looks off with. If you look at the warmer side, there's definitely this shade here, you can use both of them. Even this coral red shade here isn't that intense in color that you cannot put it through your crease. However, when it comes to the cool tone side of the palette, you get this really deep navy blue, you get this really deep purple shade, you get this I'm not even sure this one is really a matte, this one's more like a satin, I think. It's like a very, very deep navy blue. So personally, I cannot really work with these kind of eyeshadows through my crease because they're just way too dark and way too intense. So what I did today is I just grabbed my bronzer. This is the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. Chocolate Soleil? Yeah, Chocolate Soleil. And I did use this just to blend out my crease, so I have something to blend the dark purple shade with. So like I said, then I used this really dark purple shade here, and frankly, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, these really dark shades are, personally, I find them very difficult to use because the Juvia's Place mattes have a somewhat drier texture, and for whatever reason on this eye everything went fine, but on this eye, I don't know whether you can see, I have a little bit of a bald spot here in the outer corner, and I don't want to blame the eyeshadows in particular. I think it might be something to do with my eyeshadow primer application being uneven, because for whatever reason with this eye I get this like really bold spot here right at the edge of my eye quite often, and not just with Juvia's Place eyeshadows. So keep that in mind, but still, this is a fairly difficult eyeshadow to work with in the sense that it is a very deep purple shade, so you're going to have to work in small increments, blend out, be careful not to get a lot of fallout because it is difficult to get off. Now, I was able to get a really beautiful like purple smoky outer corner, so I'm really happy with the result, but it did take me some time to get there. I did actually apply the purple shade like almost towards the center of my lid as well, because I wanted to have part of the light purple applied over a darker base. I did apply a glitter glue before I applied the lavender shade, just so you know. Then in my inner corner I have a combination of this silvery cool toned blue together with this warmer toned pink, just because I wanted to have like a almost like a silvery pink duochrome to match up a little bit better with the lavender that I have going on my lids. For my lower lash line, I applied the tiniest bit of the purple shade just in the outer corner, and then I married it together with this beautiful like aqua blue kind of shade. It's a metallic shade. I did spritz my brush before applying it just to get a bit more intensity and to avoid fallout. And in my waterline I have this Kiko eyeshadow stick in the number 11, which is a really beautiful teal blue-green shade. On my lips I went for the shade Rapture? Yeah, Rapture, not Rupture. Rapture from Urban Decay. It is my first Urban Decay lipstick ever, and I haven't been using it much lately, so I figured let's give it a try, and I actually really like how this works with the rest of the look, because it has a little bit of like mauvey tones to it, so it kind of works well with the purples that I have going on my lids. Today I'm going into the Juvia's Place A Freak palette. Now I'm going to leave my first impressions video for you linked up in the cards, because in that video I did a look very much focused around the cooler tones in the palette, so the green, the blue, the two metallics over here. So I didn't want to do something with those shades, because I feel like I already showed you the potential of those shades in that particular video. So if you haven't seen it, you can go check it out if you're curious. So for today's look I wanted to focus a little bit more on the truly warmer shades in the palette, and I especially wanted to dip into these two shades here, so the two metallics, because they truly are so beautiful. Look at that. I am quite happy with how the look turned out, so let me tell you what I did. The first shade I dipped into is this beautiful deeper orange here, which served as my transition shade. Then in order to deepen it up I went with the matte burgundy over here, which layered really well. It shows really true to color, and it really served to deepen up the outer corner, so I'm really happy with that shade as well. Then I went consequentially in with the metallic shades over a glitter glue. I first applied the burgundy red shade towards the like center and outer part of my lid, and towards the inner part of my lid I applied this beautiful bronzy gold over here. Then for my inner corner I did apply a little bit of this as well, but I thought it looked too dark. So to help that bronzy gold shade appear a bit more highlighting on my inner corners, I dipped into this really beautiful Inglot body sparkle. I'm not sure you're gonna be able to see this. It has the most beautiful like bronzy, goldy, coppery shift to it, and I love using it as an inner corner highlight, and also applied it a little bit over the gold and just towards the center of the red to give it a bit of that pinky coppery hue, and I think it looks really beautiful. Then for my lower lash line, I initially thought I'm just going to keep it very simple and do something with this brownie shade here, but then I thought, you know what looks really beautiful with a deep burgundy shade? Purple. So I did go in with the purple shade over here, the metallic purple, and I did apply this on my lower lash line, paired with a purple eyeshadow stick from Kiko, which I used on my waterline. This is, by the way, the number 16. I'm not sure this color is available anymore, that's why I don't really want to like focus too much on the particular colors of those Kiko eyeshadow sticks, but any metallic purple eyeliner will do for this look. And I'm actually quite happy with how the eyes turned out. I was really missing eyeliner, so for a change I actually applied eyeliner. For lipstick I chose one of my favorite lipsticks that I have in my collection, and that is the shade Redwood from H&M. I will never shut up about this lipstick. It has the most beautiful like terracotta pinky tones to it. I think it complements this look really beautifully, and I'm just really happy with the overall result that I achieved for this look. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well. Continuing on our week-long journey of Juvia's Place palettes, for today's look I'm pulling out one of my oldest Juvia's Place palettes, and that is the Nubian 2 palette. It is also one of the oldest, generally speaking, Juvia's Place palettes in their lineup. So I personally really love this palette. I know for a lot of people this is not a super exciting palette because it tends to lean a little bit more neutral and more subdued, but I think that's maybe the reason I love it so much. I don't know, there's just something about this color story that really speaks to me, and in addition to that, this green happens to be one of my favorite metallic greens. That aside, I still think it's a very beautiful color story. I'm really happy with how this look turned out, and it is a little bit more on the like warmer tone side, just because I feel it fits better with my clothing for today, and also because I've already done looks on camera, I feel like, with this look, and I didn't want to do the typical Mariam things, which would be the green and the blue. So let's do something a little bit more neutralish but still smoky. Okay, Mariam, you can cut down the rambling now and just get to the point. So what did I do for this look? I started off the look with this beautiful matte orange shade over here. As you can see, it blends out beautifully through the crease. It looks really beautiful in the outer corner. Actually, at first when I laid it down, I was like, oh, this looks so pretty, I'm not even sure I want to put the next shade. But I did want to go for a smokier outer corner, so I did in the end decide to dip into this beautiful metallic deep plummy purple over here. So I applied that in the outer corner and I pulled it out a little bit into like a cat eye shape just to elongate my eye a little bit. Then I applied a layer of glitter glue, and after that I applied this shade, the beautiful like bronzy brown over here all over my lid, and this gold in my inner corners. On my lower lash line I applied this beautiful light warm, like also plummy but like lighter than this purple, and I just smoked it out on my lower lash line, and I think it looks really beautiful smoked out there. I applied a little bit of glitter on my lids. I don't know whether you can see that they're like a little bit shiny. That's not from the Juvia's Place shadow, that is from the Stila Bronzed Belle Glitter and Glow. Oh my goodness, were these the glitter and glows? I even forgot how they're called. Yes, the Glitter and Glow liquid eyeshadow. I am going to try my best to use whatever I have left of these up, because I found out that they dry out, some worse than others. Bronze Belle happens to be one of the few that I still have that are intact and exactly in the same condition as when I got them. However, a lot of them dried out and I had to throw them away. Some of them are starting to dry out, so I'm really trying to incorporate them into my looks as much as possible. So I did apply a little bit of that onto the center of my lid, but like a very light layer, so that I don't lose opacity from the Juvia's Place shade underneath it. On my lips I chose for sort of like a plummy red. This is the shade Audrey, and it is from the NARS Audacious line of lipsticks. It looks like this, and I think it pairs really beautifully with this lip. If I had a purple that perfectly fits the lower lash line, I would have definitely used that, but I actually don't think that I have a lipstick that perfectly fits that color, and I was really in the mood to wear Audrey today, so I went for it anyway. So somehow this look took a much more warm-toned direction than I had originally intended for it. I wanted to do a very cool-toned pink look, and somehow I ended up with almost like a coral pinks. I don't really know how that... well, I know how it happened. Let me tell you how it happened. Day 4 we are using the Deuce palette from Juvia's Place, which is their sort of very interesting take on pastels. Also a good one. I have to say, most of the shades in here perform really well. So I wanted to do something centered around these two shades, because if you can see, both of these are actually pretty cool toned pinks. This one has a pink flip to it, and this one is just a very cool toned pastel baby pink. So the thing is that aside from this matte over here, the others are actually pretty warm toned. So what I did is I applied this beautiful coral pink shade in like the whole inner part of my lid, and then I decided to go with this shade onto the outer part of my lid. Now you can't really see it very well through the camera, or I'm not really sure whether it's translating, but this shade looks pretty deep in the pan. When you put it on the eye though, it literally becomes like a very warm toned brownish pink. I don't know how to describe this color. It turns into a really beautiful color, but it is a very warm toned color. So I actually really love how the two worked together. And then I deepened very lightly with the deep brown shade over here, and then onto the center of my lid I applied this and this shade over a glitter glue just over top of each other. And I don't know, it didn't turn out exactly as I had expected it to turn out, but I do actually love how the final look turned out. On the lower lash line I have this shade all over my waterline as well as the lower lash line. To make it stick to my waterline I just applied like a cream pencil into my waterline and then I just stamped the eyeshadow over top. So this is, oh no wait, I'm lying. I have also this shade towards the like inner part of my lower lash line, and that is pretty much all that I did with the Deuce palette. Now I have additional elements going on in the look. The first thing is I dug out another one of my Stila Glitter and Glow eyeshadows. This one is in the shade Sunset Cove. It has pretty much dried out on me. I am super bummed about this because they were so expensive and I haven't really used them enough to throw them in the trash feeling satisfied. Instead I feel really shitty because I feel like I'm throwing away a shit ton of money. Which ones are the ones that I still have and I can use? Yeah, Rose Gold Retro, which I think is still fine. Well, fine is not really the word I should be using for that. Yeah, so at this point the only one that has kind of retained its original texture is Bronzed Belle. Yeah, the point I was trying to make is that I did apply a little bit of that Sunset Cove shade just on the center of the lid for an additional amount of sparkle, and I was able to put something down, but there wasn't much coming out of the tube. So I'm really bummed and sad to say that of like the 6 or 7 glitter and glow eyeshadows that I had, only one still performs as it did originally and all the rest have dried out. Some of them I have already thrown out because they were completely beyond use. And if you guys happen to have glitter and glow eyeshadows, can you please let me know whether yours dried out or am I one of the very unlucky people whose glitter and glow eyeshadows just dried out really fast? And if you have them, I urge you and I advise you to go and use them before you have to toss them. Anyway, let me finish off because there is actually an additional little like glitter detail that I applied in the very last part of the look, and that is one of my heavy metal glitter liners from Urban Decay. These actually happen to be one of my favorite like liquid glitter type of product because I've had some of these for a really long time and there's still nothing wrong with them. Like this one for instance, this is the shade Amp. I've had this for at least 4 years and it's still beautiful. So if anything, if you want to have something glittery sparkly in a liquid form, go for the heavy metal glitter liners from Urban Decay because those are amazing. The shade in question for today is the shade Catcall, which happens to be a beautiful rose gold color. And what I did with this shade is I just very subtly applied it here under my wing for like a very nice little glitter detail touch. I wasn't really quite sure what to do with my lips, so I decided to go for something fairly neutral that doesn't really clash with any of the other elements of my makeup or clothing. So I chose for the shade She's Heaven from Pat McGrath, which looks like this. It's a really gorgeous Lux Trans lipstick. Pretty happy with the final result, even though I'm not quite sure that it really fits my clothing of the day. But hey, sometimes these things happen and there's nothing you can do but not forget that in the end of the day you're just going to wipe it off and it will all be fine. And we have come to the end of this Project 5 Wears journey using Juvia's Place palettes, or at least my Juvia's Place palettes, because I don't have all of them. And I had 2 palettes left in my collection that I still haven't used, and the reason I left them for last is because I actually have separate Project 5 Wears videos with both of these palettes, which I can link up here for you if you would like to check them out. One of them is actually collab with Melissa, so instead of 5 you're also getting like a full-on 10 looks with that palette. The palettes in question are this Haran 2 and the Tribe palette. Those happen to be 2 of my absolute favorite Juvia's Place palettes. I love all of my Juvia's Place palettes, so it's really hard for me to pick favorites, but Saharan 2 remains my favorite and Tribe is a close second. So the thing about these 2 palettes is that I feel like if you look at the color stories, they're actually very complementary. Tribe has a very clear green-orange color story, and Saharan 2 is a very beautiful take on the warm eyeshadow palette trend with a pop of blue and a pop of green. So I think you can clearly see how beautifully these 2 palettes would pair together. Now I'm gonna be honest, I focused a little bit more on the Striped palette because I was feeling a little bit more like wearing green tones, so I didn't use that many shades from the Saharan 2 palette, but that being said, I still think you can do many beautiful combinations using these 2 palettes. So I started off my look with this shade over here, which is like a lime matte green, which I applied through the inner part of my crease. Then onto the outer part of my crease I applied this beautiful grass green, very springy matte shade, and I connected it with the lime green in my crease. Then in my outer corner I applied this beautiful deep like petrol green, forest green type of shade, which happens to be one of my absolute favorites in this particular eyeshadow palette. Then I applied glitter glue, and I consequentially applied these two metallics over here, which are the two favorite metallics that I have in this eyeshadow palette. So that is the deep metallic green and the sort of like bronzy gold green duochrome. This shade is really beautiful. It has a really lovely metallic foiled texture to it. So I applied these two shades on my lid, and then I dipped into the Juvia's Place palette and I applied this beautiful white green duochrome in my inner corner, and actually also a little bit over the goldeny bronze shade from the Tribe palette. On my lower lash line I applied the tiniest bit of this deep green shade. Then I blended out like the whole lower lash area with the matte green over here, and in my waterline I applied over a blue pencil liner this gorgeous shade here from the Saharan 2 palette, which is a very vibrant, beautiful teal sort of blue. And I think the look turned out really beautiful and really vibrant. This is pretty much what I always get when I use these two palettes, like very beautiful, vibrant looks, which is probably the reason I love them so much. On my lips I'm wearing again the H&M cream lipstick in the shade Wallace and Tweed, which I believe you've probably seen me use in other looks featuring the Juvia's Place palettes. It happens to be my favorite peachy nude lipstick in a beautiful cream formula, so you're probably going to see me use this lipstick a lot. I don't know about you guys, but I am personally really enjoying this new format of the Project 5 wears, where I don't necessarily need to stick to one palette, but I can just stick to one idea, and I have a lot of Project 5 wears videos still in mind. They're probably going to be what you're going to see predominantly on my YouTube channel, because I haven't really been much into buying new things this year. The only new things that I bought this year were some Sonergy brushes and the Melt Millennial Pinks palette, and that pretty much concludes everything that I was even interested in remotely in purchasing this year, and it's already mid-March. So the way things are going, I feel like I'm not going to be purchasing that many things this year, so I can't really offer you that many new first impression type of videos or reviews. I think my channel is going to be much more focused on using the things that I already have in my collection that I enjoy so much and I want to use, and I would really like to get a lot of use out of the products that I have because they bring me so much joy. I've paid so much money for them, and it's sad if they just rot in my collection because I'm always in pursuit of the new and shiny. So I want to not be in pursuit of the new and shiny anymore. I want to focus much more on the old and shiny that I have already in my collection. I'm currently working also on the Project 5 wears for the monochromatic series. I want to actually split that video into like more of a cool toned versus warm toned monochromatic series, and I also want to do Project 5 wears with my JD Glow special shadows. I forgot how they're called, the Galaxy ones. I'm still working on my Natasha Denona Gold palette Project 5 wear, so as you can see there is a lot going on. I'm really hoping that this trend on my channel will not turn you off, but on the contrary will maybe inspire you to use what you already have in your collection instead of always pursuing the new and shiny. That being said, please let me know which look was your favorite from this Project 5 wears video. Let me know which palette from Juvia's Place is your favorite, because I know a lot of you have Juvia's Place palettes and a lot of them do because they're just so affordable. As usual, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I'll see you next time. Bye!